disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. So you may have heard that Trump did a rally recently in the Bronx in New York City, and there was quite a crowd there. Quite so much a crowd that Cornell West couldn't even get in Harlem. It just shows how downgraded he's become over the last little bit here. And it was kind of so shocking that Trump did this rally in the Bronx that MSNBC picked up on it. So this guy, Eric Abante, I think that's his name, pointed out, said MSNBC interviewed immigrants and minorities at the Bronx Trump rally, and it did not go as planned for MSNBC. When you talk to immigrants that are going to these Trump rallies, they agree with this message on immigration. Their point is, I did it the right way. I came here legally. The sentiment I heard from a lot of voters was, we have these immigrants that are in the city is taken care of in a way that I've never felt taken care of by the city. The mainstream media is a prophylactic that their messaging is backfiring and only creating more Trump supporters. So it's not looking favorable for MSNBC for, the past few years of trying to paint Trump as this, supposed white supremacist. That now it's going to be backfired because they went and interviewed people at this Trump rally, which I think is actually really smart, that they're going outside the boundaries of their studios to actually interview people. This is actually journalism in action, and I'm actually shocked by this, but let's watch the video.
Donald Trump taking his MAGA message to a blue stronghold, a majority-minority district right here in New York City. And
that's such a weird thing. That's such a weird phrase to do there. That's the alliteration. A majority-minority. That's okay. From what I learned in marketing class, alliteration works. Alliteration, sex, and pulling the emotional heartstrings. That's one of the biggest things I learned from marketing. But anyway.
Demonizing immigrants as he aims to appeal to Black and Hispanic voters.
They're coming from so many places we don't have any idea. In many cases, we don't even know what the language. You have languages that people don't even know about. And we're not talking about just South America countries. We're talking about countries from Africa. I think they're building an army. They had 29,000 people over the last... I think they want to get us from within. They cannot stay. We will immediately begin the largest criminal deportation operation in our country's history.
Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns, who was there at the...
By the way, if you look at the statistics, because everyone was all fearful that Trump was going to be the mass deportator and he was going to round up a bunch of people and throw them out of the country, and it was just going to be a hellscape civil war era during his presidency. The biggest presidency that deported the most people was not actually Donald Trump. It was Barack Obama. Barack Obama deported more people in his terms than Donald Trump did. Donald Trump was actually trying to find a way, and this is one of the things I give credit to Donald Trump for. Because of him being a chauvinistic businessman, yes, he wants the fame and the fortune and the glory, but Mr. the deal, and one of the things I picked up on with his policies, and I think that this is from him, is that he brings people together to bring people to the table and say, let's work this out. Let's try to negotiate. Let's try to bang something up so we can get going on this. That's what I'm seeing when it comes to Trump rallies, when it comes to stuff. Yes, there's insanity and weird directions, but that's him. That's his personality. But I think with him personally as a businessman, that's what he's trying to do. That's what he's trying to do, at least, is trying to get people of all sorts gathered together to hammer something out, because we know that there's a border crisis. We know that there needs to be something done about this. The establishment doesn't want something done with this because they endure all these randos like pouring in, and they endure this. But Trump is calling this out, so they can't have that. Trump's also calling out a few of the wars, so that's why they're trying to prosecute him. That's why they're trying to silence him out. And MSNBC is paranoid about this because there's immigrants showing up at a Trump rally. Oh my God, we got to figure out what's going on because I thought he's supposed to be the white supremacist. He's supposed to be the bigot. Why are a bunch of immigrants coming to listen to him about immigrants?
Event. Chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney 2004 presidential campaign, Matthew Dowd, and former Obama campaign advisor, Amisha Cross. So Dasha, you were there last night. You heard it. You talked to the people who were in that crowd. How was his message received?
Well, this might sound a little counterintuitive, but I did talk to folks in that crowd who themselves were immigrants. A lot of folks from the Dominican Republic. A lot of people that I talked to were born and raised in the Bronx. For some of them, this was their first ever Trump event. And when you talk to immigrants that are going to these Trump rallies, they agree with his message on immigration. Their point is, look, I did it the right.
I love how this is a profound moment for corporate news. Like, I went outside and talked to people, and you'd be actually surprised, Anchor, that they actually agree with this message. It's almost like, you know, people actually gather together and talk about common interests. It's almost like they're not sticking to the propaganda that we've been spewing at them. And you know she's not happy with this. You know she's like, oh, God. They might need to do more yelling. I always just find it so amazing that, like, the most basic thing you can do in journalism is talk to people. The most basic thing you can do. Like, if there's a story out there and you want to know about it, you go out and actually talk to people, investigate. And you don't see it in the corporate media sphere, and this is why corporations kill the, you know, art of journalism. I can remember when MSNBC and CNN, you know, when I think there was a car manufacturer that went on strike. There was some big auto workers strike that happened, and they were trying to figure out why these people were so angry about protesting against, I think it was Nissan. That they were protesting against, and they got so angry. They got so angry at the company, and they're trying to figure out why they were so angry. But nobody went over there to talk to them. Nobody sent a reporter or investigator or any journalist out there to actually talk to these people to find out why they're protesting. Why are they striking? I don't know. Maybe go over there and talk to them. Same goes with here in Canada. When the Freedom Convoy came around, the truckers stormed into Ottawa, and no corporate media outlet here in Canada bothered to interview or talk to any of the participants in the Freedom Convoy. Nobody. And the news media is just sitting there going like, oh, I wonder why they're angry. I wonder why did they show up in Ottawa? Like, has it dawned on anyone to actually have a person there that's in Ottawa? You have journalists stationed in Ottawa to be the voice for Parliament. Go and talk to the people in the Freedom Convoy. Find out what they're doing there. The only people I know that actually got to interview those truckers, I think, was Rebel News and a couple people on social media. No other news outlet ever bothered. I just find it so hilarious that corporate media is surprised by doing the bare minimum of journalism. Like, good for you. You stepped outside your game. You went outside your studio and talked to people. Wow. Gold stars.
Right way. I came here legally, and especially those living in New York right now, the sentiment I heard from a lot of voters was, you know, we have these immigrants right now that the city is taking care of in a way that I've never felt taken care of by this city. It was a large crowd and a diverse crowd. Yes, there were some people from Westchester, from New Jersey, but there were a lot of people.
So that's the biggest thing. That's the common trait of all this is, and this is, again, this is not to demonize immigration. This is not to demonize people coming into this country. You know, these are individuals that are in hardship and are just like you and me. I don't demonize those people. I respect them as individuals as I would. But I critique the system that's exploiting these people, that's pouring these people in. And as that black comedian that was on Joe Rogan recently stated out, They're doing it right to your face. They're giving them credit cards, $1,000 credit cards right in front of your face. Meanwhile, there's, homeless veterans that sacrifice themselves defending this country that don't get squat. There's people that inside this country that are barely getting anything. And they're just pouring people in. They're giving them these, beneficiaries that people living in the city and came here legally never gotten. So that's why they're calling this out. That's why immigrants that came to this country are calling out this BS, is because they came through the legal process and they're saying that, hey, I went through this bullshit. I went through the paperwork. I had to go through hell and hellfire to get, be a citizen of this country. Why are you pouring these people in? They have no documentation. Why are you pouring these people in? I had to go through the hurdles. Why aren't they?
There that were from the Bronx, Black and Latino voters that are sick of how much they're paying for gas and groceries, that are frustrated with the situation at the border, and that find President Biden's rhetoric when it comes to minority voters a little bit offensive. Take a listen.
Legal troubles. Does any of that worry you at all?
No, at all. I think he's going to be elected the president because everyone still wants him as the president. So to me, it doesn't matter.
Biden, they have disrespected the people of the city of New York. This was the best city in the world. We're not the great apple anymore. We're not the big apple. We are the rotten apple.
Biden went on the Charlemagne the God show and said, you ain't black if you don't vote for him. I'm black because that's how I was born and what I am. And Trump is the man that can save this country. Period.
So
yes, I remember that. And people do strongly remember that. And, surprise, surprise, the guy that came up with the 1994 racist crime bill in 1994, who became president by screaming at a morning show host that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Like, you're shocked that more minorities, more black and brown people are going towards Trump than Biden? Gee, I wonder why that is. I wonder why they're going towards the supposed bigot that we've tried to escalate for so many years. It's really hurting the image that MSNBC slandered you with for so many years. I thought you were supposed to be the Russianite, bigoted, kind of Archie Bunker. But here he is at the Bronx getting more people than Cornel West did at Harlem. What does that tell you? What does that tell you, folks?
interesting to talk to those voters, Anna, and multiple people actually mentioned that Charlemagne the God interview. I did press back with some of those folks, mentioned.
Actually, now just thinking about that, I wonder what Cornel West's response. If someone, I wish someone asked him that. Like, you do realize Joe Biden, like, when he was on Jimmy Dore's show and he got interviewed, it was just a complete train wreck. And then, clearly he's not serious about running for president. He has no idea what he's doing. He's an elitist. He's an aristocrat of academics, and he's definitely exposing himself to be that kind of shill. And I just wish someone was there to ask him about that particular clip. Like, you don't think Joe Biden is a bigot, racist, fascist? What do you think about him screaming at a morning show host saying that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? Like, how does that make you feel, Mr. Civil Rights Advocate? That a presidential candidate is screaming at people and discrediting their race if you don't vote for them. What does that tell you?
Some of Trump's rhetoric that's been seen as racist and bigoted. They said they don't have a problem with that. They view his actions over his words in terms of what they feel he can do for their community. Again, the economy, those pocketbook issues, over and over again, top of the list.
It's important to hear from those voters.
Oh, they're freaking out. Like, oh my God, I actually talked to these people and they're not listening to the propaganda. I don't know what we're gonna do. It's not as funny as the CNN clip we showed beforehand, where Trump's numbers were, skyrocketing. Joe Biden was he got like 1 point in Michigan, and the CNN commentators were like, "Oh, gee willikers! Oh my God, we don't know what we're gonna do." Like, Joe Biden's strongly getting a solid, nothing in Michigan, but Trump, he's doing well in all these other states and doing well with the minorities and. It's almost like they see through the looking glass to realize this whole system was pre-up to be against each other. They know that this is a scam. They know that the election is being psyoptic by the intelligence agencies, by the mainstream media to counteract against people. And as Carl Jung once said, he's a spiritual advisor, philosopher. He definitely speaks to the minds of so many people. And I want to pull this clip up because it relates to the clip we just showed you here. He once stated that the mass state has no intention of promoting mutual understanding and that the relationship of man to man, it strives rather for automation, for the psychic isolation of the individual. The more unrelated individuals are, the more the more colonisated the state becomes, and vice versa. So that is a powerful statement there, because that's related to what we just saw there. That MSNBC is trying to divide more people. MSNBC is trying to segregate more people. And what we're seeing here is the exact opposite. And this can be said about, Trump versus Biden, Democrat versus Republican, conservative versus liberal. All those tropes that have been used to separate people. All the wokeness, all the race baiting, all the LGBTQ. This can go even with war. The fact that we're trying to pinamize, different countries towards each other to mass slaughter each other is all because of this. Because they use this method to manipulate us, to divide and segregate individuals, so that we're hatred of each other and angry at each other, and we're so isolated that we don't know about each other. And because we're so vilified with anger, being told by the establishment to trick us, we go against each other versus the people that are truly oppressing us. And they're able to get away with heinous acts. That is why, people are coming together at a Trump rally, both, black, brown, and white people, and all people of walks of life are coming together to say, look, we all agreed that there's a border crisis. We all agreed that we're getting screwed by this border crisis. Even if you don't like what the words of Trump is saying to you, we can all agree that there needs to be something done about this situation. And that is how powerful uniting people can be. And that's one of the things about this channel. That's one of the things I strive for in society, is we need more people to find common goals and find common interests. Even if you don't like the specific person, even if you, don't like, 80% of what they're saying and what they practice, if you find something relatable, if you find that common goal that unites people together, you can work as a team to establish that. You can work as a team to get something going. Think of like your ancestors. They had to go through to build communities. They weren't isolated by individuality. They weren't separated by all these different notions. If you wanted to build a house, for example, and you have a team of people, you're not going to go, okay, are you a Trump supporter? Okay, you're out. Are you a libertarian? Okay, you're out. Are you okay with the gays? Okay, you're out. Are you this? Okay, you're out. Out. And then you're left with no one. And then no one's going to build a house because you're stuck by yourself. So that is how powerful this statement is. And Carl Jung was definitely on point to what we're dealing with now. And basically, what MSNBC saw was basically kind of uplifting for them. It was kind of a spiritual awakening for them to realize that them fear-mongering propaganda is not going to work. It's not working for the people because people gather together outside of MSNBC, outside of the corporate plutocracy-dominated media sphere, and they actually engage with each other. They actually talk to one another, have conversations outside with other individuals, and they can actually relate on certain things. That's what's so powerful about this. It's like an epiphany for MSNBC. Also, the fact that they got outside to interview people. Like, that's basic journalism. That's like the first step of being a basic journalist is actually talking to people. And 90% of the time, they barely do that. But this time, they actually took the step. So give credit to them. A little bit of brownie point for them. But that was incredible to witness.